Hey there everybody, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Rama, and in today's video, we are going to be breaking into one of my favorite vehicles in all of GTA Online, and that is the Deluxo, an incredibly underrated missile-firing flying vehicle. Normally, the Deluxo is overlooked by the Oppressor Mark II. And don't get me wrong, the Oppressor's strong. It's super small. It does feature some flares, even though they're nerfed, it still has flares, and it's quite maneuverable. But what the Deluxo does have is insanely dangerous homing missiles, the ability to dodge missiles if you know how to use it properly, and the fact that it can hover in one spot and outmaneuver any other flying vehicle, constantly spamming missiles, basically making it impossible to deal with. In today's video, I'm going to be letting you know all the tips and tricks there is to know about the Deluxo, and why it is a truly underrated vehicle that I would highly recommend any of you watching today's video should pick up. So, let's get straight into it. At first glance, the Deluxo is a rather unassuming car, but trust me, it is anything but that. Let's start off talking about the weaponry the Deluxo has going for it, and that is two different weapons. You have homing missiles and a machine gun. I mean, a machine gun is pretty basic. It doesn't really do much. I don't think I've literally ever seen anybody honestly use the machine gun for the Deluxo. What you're going to be using are these extremely fast-firing homing missiles. They are very fast and incredibly dangerous. If you watch the clips in the opening of today's video, you would have seen how dangerous they are. Not only can you absolutely rapid-fire these missiles, but when you pair that with the fact that the Deluxo can hover in one spot and absolutely outmaneuver any jet trying to fly around you, plus the fact that these are just as dangerous as the Ruiner 2000 missiles, yeah, it's very hard to actually dodge what is being fired at you and to survive in the process. I've even tested the Deluxo against the new F-160 Raiju, and even a Raiju flying full speed at you cannot dodge a Deluxo missile. It is that insanely dangerous. Now, that brings us to the first question that a lot of people always ask me. What do you do if you're out of missiles? Right now, I'm pressing the missile fire button, and, well, nothing's firing, right? I'm completely out of missiles. I've fired all 30 that the Deluxo has. Normally, people say, well, if I have enough Oppressor Mark II, I'll just despawn it through the interaction menu of my motorcycle club and call it back in. Well, we can actually do that through our interaction menu for the Deluxo just as quickly. Let's go over it very quickly. So I'm going to pull out my interaction menu, go to manage vehicles, return personal vehicle to storage. Then I'm going to go over to request personal vehicle. I'm going to look down and I'm going to wait for it to spawn in. And just like that, we now have a Deluxo 10 feet in front of us. Rockstar's done a couple things that obviously makes the spawning in really nice. In a couple updates ago, they changed how fast you can get vehicles respawned after you've called them in. And this is really nice because now I have a fully locked and loaded Deluxo once again with another 30 missiles. You have to wait 2 minutes of a cooldown before you can despawn and respawn once again. But either way, this is a really, really good capability. Just within 2 minutes, you can literally have 60 missiles to your arsenal, which is more than enough, in my opinion, you should need for really any situation you are getting stuck in. Then we arrive to, honestly, one of my favorite parts about the Deluxo, and that is the fact that it is very easy to use for missions that involve water. There are quite a few missions in the game. For example, the Lupe crate mission, where you need to go out under the water, go search some crates, blow them up, and steal valuables inside. That mission absolutely sucks, and using the Deluxo for it can save so much time. Why? Well, as you're going to see, if you exit the Deluxo while it is slightly moving, the Deluxo will continue to move even if you get out of the car above the water. If you jump out of the Deluxo while it is standing completely still, it is simply going to drop right into the water and destroy your vehicle. But as we can see, jumping out of the Deluxo while it is slightly moving is going to just kind of scoot it across the water. And then after moving maybe about 100 feet, it's going to stop. And we can see that right here. My Deluxo has simply stopped at this point and is just slightly coasting above the water. Now here's the part that's so nice about the Deluxo. Let's say you've done your mission, you're under the water, blah, 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 you've collected crates. Well, now all you need to do is swim underneath your Deluxo and boom, press the enter vehicle button, And just like that, I'm now back inside of the Deluxo. You can see how this can be an incredibly useful tool, because unlike using vehicles like the Toreador, where they just sink to the bottom of the water, and they're very annoying to actually deal with getting in and out of in missions like this, the Deluxo is super easy. And because of the fact it can hover over the water, it means that you can easily just do really any water missions in general. Shoot missiles at whatever it is while above water, and then just simply land your Deluxo right at the surface. Go wherever you need to go, complete the mission, hop back into your Deluxo, and make your merry way back to wherever you were going. This is an insane tip. It's something that I've always tried to share to people, because if you're not taking advantage of this capability, it can definitely help you in a pinch. Aircraft are obviously really good. They're fast and they feature extremely dangerous weapons. For example, the F-160 Raiju has an explosive machine gun. But there is one big downside that you'll always find when it comes to flying vehicles, and that is, well, crashing. If you are not the best pilot, or you do make a slight mistake, the chance of you surviving that mistake is slim to none. However, that is not going to be the case for the Deluxo. It does not matter how many times you crash the Deluxo into a building. It really doesn't make a difference if you're going full speed or not. You're never going to blow up. And that is because the Deluxo has the physics body model of a car. It's literally just a car that has the ability to hover. This is huge. Unlike the Oppressor Mark II, you cannot get knocked off of the Deluxo. So if somebody's shooting a plasma type weapon at you, or some sort of explosive device like an explosive sniper Mark II, there's no way of being knocked off the Deluxo, which is obviously really fantastic, and it means that while using this vehicle, you're not going to have to worry about that at all. Now, that's not to say there aren't downsides to the Deluxo. I would definitely say one of the biggest counters to using this vehicle is the railgun. It's one of the newest weapons that has been added into the game, and the railgun can literally one-shot a Deluxo. Works just like any other explosive device, and it's very easy to use because of just how fast it shoots. But, to be fair, the railgun is very good at taking out really any armored vehicle that flies. If you are in a jet or really anything, I mean, just the fact that the railgun is able to aim in so incredibly fast and instant nuke what it's aiming at, it's just a great counter to so many flying vehicles. So I'd highly recommend, if you do have an Oppressor or Deluxo or really any type of aircraft in the game, don't pull out your homing launcher, don't pull out your RPGs, pull out a railgun. If you get good with it, you are going to be a really, really scary opponent. Another quick fact I should mention about the Deluxo is that it's much faster driving on ground than it is flying in the air. The Deluxo can go upwards of 127 miles per hour while driving on the ground, which actually makes it one of the fastest sports classics in the game, and it's also got fairly good handling. While flying in the air, you only go around 90 miles per hour. Now, it's not that big of a deal. Flying in the air is mainly useful for when you're trying to make your way over really, really rocky terrain or mountains, and we can see that right here. Instead of obviously driving throughout Vinewood Hills, I can just fly right over all of the stuff in front of me and save a lot of time. And one of my favorite things about the Deluxo, unlike the Oppressor Mark II or really any other flying vehicle, is the fact that you can simply just drop out of the sky and go back into car mode. It's so easy, so seamless. If you're in the Oppressor Mark II, you have to either tilt it down or you have to hold the handbrake button and wait for it to slowly go down towards the ground. Where when it comes to the Deluxo, you can instantly swap between flying mode and dropping onto the ground very quickly, which is obviously great whether you're trying to dodge missiles, because it is a great way to dodge missiles, or if you're just trying to get to the ground very quickly to pick up that speed that you were missing while flying. I just think people don't realize how dangerous the Deluxo missiles are and how quickly they can dispose of whatever is in front of them. In front of us, we can see a clip of a pretty skilled Deluxo pilot here, and this guy is going to quickly take care of two Oppressor Mark IIs that are trying to cause him trouble. Notice how the missiles completely loop around in about 0.2 seconds, slam into the rear of the Oppressor. Even one of the pilots tries shooting flares. Guess what? The Deluxo does not care about your flares. The missiles are so incredibly busted on the Deluxo, especially with the fact that the Oppressor Mark II has been nerfed so many times. The Deluxo is easily superior. So, as always, if you enjoy this type of content and you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. I would highly recommend to get your hands on a Deluxo. It is more than worthwhile the money on paper. Any skilled pilot out there will agree it is an absolutely underrated beast. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.